What a year.
A long-awaited cabinet reshuffle, stalled tax reforms due to political resistance, and a renewed diplomatic push for Nigeria and Africa's global influence, as well as economic policies whose impact remain deeply felt by ordinary Nigerians. These are some of the moments that shaped the Nigerian presidency in 2024. And with the administration just 5 months shy from its 2-year mark, 2024 has proven to be a defining year, one marked by progress and setbacks, as the promises of 2023 clash with the realities of governance. In May 2023, Bola Tinubu became Nigeria's 16th president, inheriting a country plagued by economic instability, insecurity, and political divisions. His first major move, the abrupt removal of the fuel subsidy, sent fuel prices soaring, triggered inflation, and sparked protests. Despite the backlash, Tinubu stood firm, reaffirming his decision during the 2024 Independence Day address.
I assure you that we are committed to finding sustainable solutions to alleviate the suffering of our citizens. Once again, I plead for your patience as the reforms we are implementing show positive signs, and we are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
That light, however, remains dim for many Nigerians. The removal of the fuel subsidy has continued to dominate the national conversation in 2024, as the promised reinvestment of savings into socio-economic programs has been slow to materialize.
Me, I spend over 2.5 every day. And how much is my salary?
Some people are trying from here to Federal Secretariat before they enter motor, because if they enter motor from here, they cannot be able to raise when they are taking them to.
The very moment you increase 5 naira from fuel, everything automatically get escalated.
So many people are dying silently. So please, I don't want to say more because I'm very angry, I'm very upset.
In response, Senior Special Assistant to the President, Tope Ajayi, acknowledges the difficulties but defends the government's approach.
Don't forget that the revenue from savings or subsidy removal doesn't belong, whatever savings is made, is not solely the money that belongs to the federal government. It's the money that goes into the federal account. It's a pool that is shared between the federal, state, and local government. Before now, most of the states were struggling to pay salary, their obligations. Today, they are in a convenient position. They are fiscally better. We can say there is progress, but I also agree, and I will admit here, that the impact is still on the people. The comfort level has not been attained for the generality of the citizens. But as the federal government, the state and local government continue to intervene, spend on social services, spend on critical infrastructure that affect people's life, road, education, healthcare, security, sanitation, and other public works. That is the only way citizens can feel the impact of government.
For instance, the compressed natural gas buses meant to ease transportation costs have yet to make a significant impact, leaving commuters and workers struggling with high expenses. As frustrations grew, the president sought to recalibrate his team 17 months into his tenure. President Tinubu reshuffled his cabinet, dismissing 6 ministers, appointing 7 new ones, and reassigning 10 others. Notable structural changes included merging the Ministries of Tourism, Arts and Culture, dissolving the Ministry of Sports, and renaming the Ministry of Niger Delta Development to the Ministry of Regional Development. Despite these adjustments, Tinubu maintained his 48-member cabinet, the largest in Nigeria's history.
The government knows what it's doing, that, look, to really tackle the big issues we have in our country, you need many hands, many competent hands to really help to drive the agenda of government. It's not the largeness, but government is going to do a lot of things. As I said, from tomorrow we hear some announcements what government is trying to do to make sure that we reduce the cost of running the government. What happened today was based on some empiricism. It was not just something done by fancy or anything, but there was some basic facts that the president used, some criteria that were used to ask some people to go.
Beyond the cabinet reshuffle, changes reached the president's inner circle. The resignation of spokesperson Ajuri Ngelale led to the expansion of the role, with multiple special advisors stepping in to oversee presidential communications.
I only came to introduce myself to you and the role that is given to me by Mr. President. And I told you that role was once occupied by Ajuri Ngelale.
Tinubu's appointment sparked controversy, with critics accusing him of favoring members of his ethnic group for key positions. This presidential aide dismisses the allegations as political distractions, urging Nigerians to focus on the administration's broader reforms.
That is not true. You know, politicians will only be politicians. And again, politics has been turned to an industry. And that is why we are perpetually politicking and playing politics. And it shouldn't be so. We shouldn't be a country that spends every day playing politics. There should be time for governance. The president is a nationalist by default. President Tinubu is a nationalist by it's second nature to him. This is a man that has built bridges for decades across the length and breadth of the country. He's probably the only politician in Nigeria today that has a friend in every local government. I don't want to say in every town and villages, at least in every local government, people you can call at any point in time, among traditional rulers, among politicians, among business people, even within the civil society. His influence and relationships cut across. So it can't be a tribalist suddenly. By the time you look at the balance of the appointment the president has made so far, you find out that they are almost even. Of course, one section may get one or two positions more, but in terms of balance of scale, they are not, it's not tilted towards the Southwest as been alleged. Okay, let's look at the key ministries. Because also in Nigeria, we have our own political lexicon of juicy ministry, unjuicy ministry, or juicy agencies. So look at all of those, and then look at the people that are heading those ministries and those agencies. Really, are they Yorubas? Education, health, defense, agriculture. Who are the people, who are the ministers there? Are they Yorubas? Water resources. These are heavy spending. Works, aviation. These are the critical heavy spending ministries. Who are the ministers there? Are they Yorubas? Until recently, the Minister of Education was from Adamawa State.
Amid these structural changes, President Tinubu signed into law a new national minimum wage of 70,000 naira, up from 30,000 naira. The wage increase was seen as a crucial step in addressing inflation. But many argue it still fell short of meeting the needs of Nigeria's working class.
Even if the minimum wage has not been implemented, now bringing up issues like increase in pump price of petroleum products, which will be inimical to the substance of the minimum wage, needs to be fought.
In a bid to counter criticism over his administration's high cost of governance, the president introduced measures such as reducing the number of cars and security personnel in the convoys of ministers and agency heads. These measures, while commendable on paper, remain largely symbolic, as the year was marked by continued delays in implementing the Oronsaye Report, a blueprint for sweeping public sector reforms. Despite the president's February directive to act on the report, progress has stalled, fueling doubts about the administration's commitment to addressing inefficiency. 2024 proved to be a year where politics tested President Tinubu's leadership, forcing him to balance competing interests while advancing his reform agenda. Tinubu's ambitious tax reform plan, which includes 4 major tax bills, became a battleground for political negotiation.
NEC noted the need for sufficient alignment between and amongst the stakeholders for the proposed reforms. So Council therefore recommend the need to withdraw the bill currently before the National Assembly on tax reforms so that we can have wider consultations and also build consensus around these reforms for the benefit of the entire country.
The bills aimed at boosting Nigeria's revenue base faced resistance, particularly from the northern governors and lawmakers, who argued they would burden struggling businesses and citizens of the region.
Mr. President, you will have your way, but I can have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice. This thing is very sensitive. Our people have been dominated by this matter.
It's not like the northern governors jump up and say, okay, we don't like all these bills, we don't like other people think the northern governors. The area that the northern governors capitalize on to say that we want a little more answer, it started with the VAT. It started with the VAT not only necessarily in the area of generating the VAT, but it also goes to look at, the proposal about the increase in the VAT.
We extended our view to the executive arm of government, and it was agreed that there should be a forum to sit down to look at the areas that are creating disagreements in order to resolve them so that the entire country will remain united in our effort to solve our problems.
The bills remain stalled at the National Assembly. But should the president have heeded advice from the Vice President Kashim Shettima's economic advisory body to withdraw the bills altogether?
NEC advised that there should be border consultation.
Yes.
And that consultation is going on as we speak at different fora. There have been town hall meetings that are being organized across the country. That legislative process is public hearing. Through public hearing, anybody that is anybody, any interest group in the country can send their proposal.
From the corridors of the National Assembly to Nigeria's state capitals, the president's leadership in 2024 was shaped by the intricate dance of politics, whether it was advancing tax reforms or navigating the fallout from the Supreme Court's ruling, which affirmed the local government autonomy. Analysts say for Tinubu, the ruling was both a test of his political strength and an opportunity to demonstrate his commitment to reform. His administration framed the Apex Court ruling as a victory for federalism and grassroots development. Yet, state governors have failed to implement the court's decision, many who see it as an encroachment on their authority. On a positive note, President Tinubu's student loan program, a cornerstone of his campaign, saw disbursement of interest-free loans to underprivileged Nigerian students in 2024. However, the same year was marked by growing tensions with the nation's youth, who voiced increasing frustrations over unemployment and economic policies.
This hunger is too much. We need the government to do the needful. End this hunger. End this scarcity of foodstuff. A tuber of yam costs close to 10,000 naira. Help us to reduce food inflation, reduce general inflation, reduce unemployment, reverse electricity bill by electricity tariff back to the normal price.
In a dramatic turn of events, Nigeria faced a major international legal setback when 3 Nigerian presidential jets were seized by a French court due to a long-standing dispute with a Chinese company. The dispute, stemming from a 2007 contract with Ogun State, raised serious questions about Nigeria's contractual obligations.
This is part of the problem when subnational actors like state governments take it upon themselves to go into agreements, go into international arrangements without recourse to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, without recourse to the federal government, and then when it goes awry, we are left with the problem to deal with. And that is why it's always important that such arrangements should be registered with the mission there, with the embassy, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and with the federal government.
Despite such setbacks, Tinubu's foreign diplomacy scored notable gains. Increased capital importation, a key measure of foreign investment in Nigeria's economy, indicated a growing trend. His re-election as chairman of ECOWAS reinforced the nation's regional leadership. Additionally, Nigeria's acceptance as a partner nation in BRICS and active participation in the G20 underscored its growing influence on the global stage.
No matter how much you invest in other African countries, if you don't take Nigeria for a serious country and a partner in your process, you won't achieve the results.
However, some observers argue that these foreign policy strides may be overshadowing pressing domestic issues.
That is far from the truth. The foreign trips itself is to assist our domestic agenda. Foreign trips ensures we have things in place for security. We have French, Francophone countries surrounding Nigeria. There are big security issues going on in Niger, with Chad, and even parts of Benin Republic near the border with Niger. So it ensured that we'd speak with these foreign powers, especially France, being a former colonial masters. France has taken an active role in the Sahel areas of West Africa, fighting the insurgency with the Americans and the Germans. So it's important Nigeria dialogues with these foreign powers and ensure our security is in place. That would affect our domestic matters. It's also, most importantly, for development. We need to ensure that getting foreign assistance, whether in loan or in some sort of fighting our areas regarding ensuring the tax system is well positioned for Nigeria. There's also issues of our diaspora. It's important that our diasporas are carried along. The president meets with the diasporas when he goes abroad. Very, very important. The money they bring in is extremely important for the Nigerian economy. But these areas of security and development are key. The president also goes there to push for our diplomacy.
Nigeria also ends another year without ambassadors.
The issue of ambassador is not as straightforward as the way you say it. It's definitely not refusing. The government is not refusing to do such an important part of its government responsibility, and also its issues of regarding foreign affairs and diplomacy. The issues are more complex than that. And it deals a lot with ensuring that we have things in place to make sure our foreign missions are in good position. They're in good position regarding receiving the ambassadors, receiving their family, receiving their staff, and most importantly, also ensuring that we have the host ready to receive us and be able to, and also to reciprocate, with our arrival there, reciprocate, by being able to host people and dignitaries in our foreign missions. So it is quite, it's still a little, the time before the president announces it, but it's not as straightforward, and it's definitely not because he refuses to do it. I think there's steps to be taken. Right now, the president has sent in charge the affairs to all the missions. There's also been consular generals sent to all the missions. They are many times a prelude to the ambassadors taking their position. So they're not ambassadors, but we have this diplomats in place in the mission for the ambassadors, for the high commissioners. And so in these cases, you probably see the ambassadors taking their seats in the next few weeks, I should say, at least a pronouncement of their positions in the next few weeks.
As President Tinubu nears his second anniversary in office, the challenges ahead are clear. His administration must balance domestic reforms with Nigeria's evolving role on the global stage. While 2025 could offer an opportunity for a stronger second term, the pressure is mounting for the president to address unresolved issues such as security, fiscal reforms, and public sector inefficiency. If these key challenges remain unaddressed, the president will face increasing scrutiny as he heads into the second half of his first term. Adesuwa Omorwan, Arise News.